Oh, welcome back. If you've watched the first two, you saw me strip it down. This one, as you can see, the caliper has now been painted, all cleaned out, all ready to go. I'm going to put in the new piston, new oil seal, new seal and new dust cover. Hopefully this will be easy. If not, it's a real pain sometimes. So once again, I'm not the best at talking about things, but make sure you get some of your assembly grease on this. Okay, let's get this all around. Seal all lubed up. Okay, this should literally just be able to slip this in, put one place in and then just follow it round, and that's it. Make sure she's seated. Good. Excellent. Right, next part. Now, there are lots of different tips and tricks for this, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So we get this all bit of lube around the seal. Let's get this all in. Okay. Now, the way the manual says is that you put the seal in first and then the piston. Now, if you try and put the seal in, you can't get the piston past the top here due to the fact it's too tight. So let's put this on here. Basically, just make sure everything is nicely lubed with the proper lube. Put the dust seal onto the piston. Making sure you don't damage the rubber. You can do it from the top or the bottom, up to you. What we got to remember is it's going to be really slippery. Okay, let's get this seated. Okay, now a lot of videos I've seen and I've looked at make this look really easy. Now sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, so we'll see what happens. I'll just lube up everything so we know we're all good. Okay, seals all lubed. Try not to get too much in the cylinder, you don't want it contaminating the oil, the brake fluid. Okay, that should do it. This is the original piston that came out of it. As you can see, it's not too bad. The other side, the right hand side caliper, this was the piston I took out of the other one. As you can see, it's had it. It's corroded, pitting all over it. So the other one's been done. This is I thought I'd record this doing this one. Okay, so what you want to do is try and get the lip just past. Now what you need to do is seat this into the recess, and then you basically got to get the lip into the groove at the bottom, is the best way. Fortunately my line's not that great in here, so I can't properly see. Now, once you're in very slightly, you should be able to work it round. Something reasonably blunt. This is not the best thing to do it with, but it's the first thing I've got to hand. So what I'm trying to do is hook that bottom lip in. Feed the seal in, and there's a little lip on the inside that you need to get the dust boot seated into before you can push the piston in. So we'll go around so we can get this seated all the way around. Oh, see, this is the problem, it pops out very easily. One, due to the flexibility of the rubber, and also the piston. So I'll try and get this out again. Just got to make sure you don't, if whatever you're using to try and feed it in, just make sure you're not going to puncture the dust cover, otherwise you end up with a hole in it and negates the whole. There we go, I think we're in. Give it a little twist. Okay, so now once you're seated, you should be able to gently, like that. Alright, let's push it all the way in. As you can see, the piston moves without any real effort. The seal is in. There you go. Perfect. The piston moves in and out without any issues. Nice and smooth. Dust cover is seated all the way around. And there you go. Looks simple. Sometimes the first one I did took me nearly 2 hours to do. So it's a case of being patient. And once it's in, it's in. And there you go. As you can see, nice free movement of that piston. You don't want any catching. There's hardly any force on that, which is great, which means this is going to work perfectly. So we'll just seat that back in there. Perfect. So that's the new piston installed, new seal, piston dust cap, dust cover installed. I'll take this one off. Now what I'm going to do, rather than do this on the car, I'm going to assemble the caliper on the bench, because I just find it a little bit easier, because instead of having to do all this up on the car, this can be all put together here. And see where my camera is. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit here. Okay. Alright, as you can see, the carrier is covered, as carrier is all clean as well. These are the clips that I took out last night. So with the RX8, the carrier, the larger clip of the two, these parts will these parts here must go on the outside, and these fit into the carrier all the way around. one goes in here. Oh, hang on a minute, my battery. Right, sorry about that. Right, okay. So now I'm going to put these clips in, the brake disc clips. These will slot into here. A little bit tight at the moment, just due to the new paint. Once they're in, set that one in. One here. Okay, one's snap into place. Okay, the other side. Oh, a little bit tight. And we drop it the lock. So I've just repainted this carrier, so there's a couple of little high points on the paint there. Oh, so that's seated, that should be fine. This one might need a little bit of persuasion. Okay. Right, that one's in. And the other clip. Outside. Okay. Those are all seated. Okay, brake pads. A little bit clean, not too worried about these. Okay, some copper slip, got that. Okay, using this copper slip or anti-seize, whatever you want, brake, whatever. Don't use too much of it. All you need is a little dab on the sliding surfaces of the caliper, just so we make sure we don't seize up directly. So put a little dab, don't need too much, a little tiny dab on the slider here on the mating surfaces, and once it's done, just slide your pad in. He says. Oh. Okay, here we go. Okay, that one's in. Okay, one side. Other caliper, that other pad, once again, copper slip, not too much. Okay, put my hand off. Okay, so at the bottom, So make sure they're reasonably straight. Okay, sliding, good. Okay, they slide nice and easily. Okay, obviously on the car this carrier would be attached, so you wouldn't really be doing it this way. Oh, nice new paint, getting a bit mucky already. That's right, that's around the back. Okay, now now I've got the pads just seated in there. I'll take my gloves off very quickly because I don't particularly want to get everything covered. Let's turn the carrier around. Okay. Now we're going to mount the caliper carrier. Okay, now first of all let's get some new pins. Here you're going to need some silicone assembly. So like I say, this is the old one that came out. This is the new one going in. Got new rubber on it as well. Okay, so new rubber on. Oop, wrong way. New rubber on. A bit of lube on there. Sits nicely. I've cleaned all my pinholes out, so everything is as it should be. So this top pin, lube this pin up. The reason I'm not wearing gloves is because I don't really want this lot sticking to me and getting everywhere else. I can just get this off. Squeeze a little bit in the hole. Okay, now slowly I find a twist in action, gets a nice good coverage across the whole bolt. Okay. Pop dust seal over. A little bit tricky. There you go. Right, so now that's seated. A little twist around. Okay. A bit of air in this. There you go. This now. Once again, just make sure if you use anything, you're not going to puncture any of these seals. I'm just using a blunt pick just to make sure things are seated. There you go, perfect. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, the original one that came out, it looked like that. This is what it's supposed to look like. The rubber bit's missing completely off of this one. So, rubber goes over the top. So if you're doing these, this particular pin always goes on the bottom. So direction front of the car is here, and this is at the bottom, this is the top. The rubber bit goes to the bottom of the caliper. So the fixed pin at the top, pin with the rubber is at the bottom. Just provide a little bit of damping. Once again, stick a bit of grease in the hole. Not too much, otherwise you just won't be able to get it in. Once again, lube this thing up. Plenty of lube. Okay, what doesn't get used will squish out. New dust cover. Nope. Once again, ran the wrong way. Okay, so that was on that. Once again, a little bit of a twisting action just helps it seat properly. You don't want to just try and jam it in, because the rubber will come off the pin and ride up if you're not careful. Once again, new bolt over. Oh, dusty one. Okay. Make sure that moves. Seated properly. Oh, there's my little pick. Make sure that's seated on there. There you go. Okay, so that's fully seated on the guide bolts. Good bit of movement. Get some of that lube to move around in there. Cool. Okay. Nice action. You'll find these are a little bit tighter on the bottom, just due to the fact that there is that rubber, so there is a little bit more extra restriction there. Let's just pull this one out a bit. Just make sure. Oh. This one didn't seat properly. Let's get it back on. Okay, that's better. Yep. Okay, we're in. Right, okay. Next thing, caliper. Okay, let's put it in. Let's confirm, piston's all in, nice. Once again, because I'm not doing this on the car, a bit of copper slip on the mating surfaces. Not too much, because you don't want it just dribbling everywhere off your brake pads. Now, I tend to put a little bit on the piston itself, not a lot, just a very, very fine amount, just enough to put a bit of surface on there. Perfect. So let's say it's not overdone. Okay. This. Make this up to the carrier. Perhaps need to come in a little bit. I say on the car it's easy because you can butt the pads up against the discs, but I'm just being a bit lazy and doing it on the bench because I'll just sit the whole caliper on one unit. Okay. Cool. Rest that on there a minute. Excellent. Let's find some more new hardware. Okay, brand new bolts, carrier bolts. Torque is I think 2132 newton meters. Foot pound, I have no idea. Now you will find you need a. Unfortunately, my snap-on 17 is a little bit thick for these. I have to use a bit of a an older spanner, thin spanner that I have, just due to the fact that it just fits in there a little bit easier. And as he says that, oh, there it is. Obviously when I took it apart I used the gun, but putting it back together again I am obviously making sure this is done by hand. Don't want to be stripping any threads off. And now I can't get the socket off that I was using. Right, okay. So you need a reasonably thin 17mm in here. Let's get some a bit more. Just to see. Okay. The new bolts have a small amount of Loctite on them. So I'll get these seated first. Okay, one. Okay, just nip them up. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to nip these up to 32, the maximum. Just one because there's a bit of paint on there. The new paint, and it'll give it a chance just to settle in a little bit easier. So I will be tightening these up to about 31, 32 newton meters. If you give me a second. Sorry for a little break there. Said something else. Right. Okay. I'm going to put these to 31 newton meters. 30. Okay. Where's my socket? Just put it down. And slightly got distracted. There we go. Okay. 17. Okay. Slightly odd way of doing it, but because of the camera, I'm having to do this slightly odd. Okay. 32. What I do is before I even use the car, I will go back around and re-torque these. This is just the initial setting. Okay, 32. Okay. Next thing, new bleed nipple. Okay, new bleed nipples in. Just going to literally give it a little tiny nip. This is only about 9 newton meters on here, but I don't have one that goes down that small, so I'll do. Still that one out. Last but not least, obviously I haven't got it on the car at the moment, but I'll put it on here so I know where it is so I don't lose it. New pipe bolt. Tell you what, stay out of the vice because I can't do it upside down. Okay. There. Okay. Last part. Obviously this will come back off when I put it in the car. There you go, lads. Or ladasses. Reasonably simple job for the front seals. So, as you can see, we've gone from a rusty old unit with dodgy seals to a fully reconditioned unit. And that'll go back on the car in one unit. Job done. Thanks a lot.